Okay, let's try another shot at this. I tried it a moment ago, and I failed to copy it over to the computer. Um, I was thinking the last couple of nights, or the last night, about the rating systems, especially over on Board Game Geek, because, well, I mean, I have a long history from before, and what I think would be really interesting is if people could see the sort of the curve of their ratings. Let me, some 15 years ago or so, I started collecting my own ratings on index cards, and I had maybe 30 different people max throughout here, and maybe a dozen that were regulars at any given time in my gaming group. And at first we just started rating without thinking. I mean, what do you want to give this game? I don't know. How am I supposed to think about it? I would tell them, well, rate it in the best of possible circumstances. It's a game with people who know what they're doing, if that's what's important in a game. A game with people who don't, if that makes it more valuable to you. Whatever. Not random best of possible circumstances like a game where you find $100,000 in it. But anyway, so with that initial instructions, everybody started rating their own way. And most people kind of fell into something like a bell curve. Personally, I ran into what started to grow as very much of a bell curve. Actually centered right around 6, I would guess. And after looking at it, my own ratings changed a little bit. I started saying, maybe I'm overrating some things because I'm not using all the space. And I also looked at particular genres where I felt like my general dislike of the genre was too heavily influencing my ratings. So that extra information, I think, helped me make better ratings to help understand better, or I communicate better through the cards, through the rating, what I like, what I didn't. Not that I'm sure anybody would use these for this. I don't even look to see if there are people near me and try to contact them to game. So, but it would be interesting if I knew people in my group to look at their stuff, Yeah. Now, other players, though, in my group had very different rating systems. The closest to mine, one of my friends had pretty much the same kind of bell curve, except he didn't believe in 1s and 10s. If a game got a 1 or a 10, for a game to get a 1 or a 10, it had to be either the worst or the best game ever. And that may be out of all possible games, rather than just all games that exist. So he just could not give those. And that compacted his values in a little bit of a way, which is kind of weird. My wife gave kind of a bell curve, but with a slide over towards the positive, I would say. One of my friends believed that it should be evenly distributed, that it should just be a straight line across. And he actually aimed to create his ratings to try to put as many things in each bucket as he could. So there'd be as many 10s as there would be 5s. I don't think he quite succeeded in that, because there just aren't that many games. I mean, there are almost breaking points where you say, I can't give this a 10 because there are real problems with the rolls. Although I've ended up doing that. The funniest I had was one guy who would rate everything either very low or very high based on how he enjoyed the particular experience he was rating. So if he enjoyed it a great deal and thought it was, even if he didn't think it was that great a game, it would get like a 9 or a 10. And if he had a bad experience, maybe because somebody kicked him under the table during the game, I mean, whatever, it didn't have to do with the rules with the game itself, although it was related to the gaming experience. He would give it like a 1 or a 2. Like somebody stabbed him, and he would have no problem with diplomacy in games. He just couldn't deal with the fact that somebody backstabbed him in that game, so he rates it poorly. And when he was made aware of this, or maybe to cover a different side of things, he started rating things in the middle a little bit too. So what he would do is, if a game didn't really excite him or didn't really disturb him, he would give it a 4 or 5, or a 5 or a 6, or whatever. You know, so his curve kind of looked like this, sort of a reverse head and shoulders from a stock graph. And that was just hilarious to me. Who knows what these things do to the overall ratings. In the general, when you get enough people, you start getting a bell curve. I mean, it does not matter. But it was a very strange trying to cope with all these different viewpoints on it. And we're going to see even more of that over on Board Game Geek, where there are people who are trying to sell a game. So they will rate that game up. I mean, not physically sell it, no income impact, but they rate that game up, and everything else gets slammed because of it. Some people are trying to play the ratings game to try to get a game above another one. You know, people just have such different reasons for their ratings that they become, except in a large scale of things, pretty unimportant. Alright, that was fun. Let's see if I can tape this one, or get this one on the computer.